Russia is collapsing. Its economy is in ruins, food lines are back, planes are falling from the sky, Putin is pleading for mercy from the West. It's doomsday for Russia. That's what many think is supposed to happen. But it's been over 3 years since the West hit Russia with the mother of all sanctions. And yet, Russia's economy is still standing. Shouldn't these sanctions have worked already? If sanctions are a form of economic warfare, then who is winning this war? While soldiers use shells and grenades, there's another weapon governments can employ: economic sanctions. Sanctions are penalties that countries impose on other nations to change their behavior. And they can do this because of how intertwined the global economy is. A global economy requires countries working together to buy and sell goods. There's a reason why I can buy this British soda here in Kyiv and not one from North Korea. That's because Ukraine and the UK have a normal trade relationship, unlike with North Korea. So, what happens when one country misbehaves? Welcome to Monopoly, Sanctions Edition. This board is the global economy. And here is our sanctioned player. They have vast cash reserves, properties everywhere, and control the railroads. And their wealth is due to charging other players rent and utilities and selling them property. But now they are sanctioned. In Monopoly Sanctions Edition, the other players punish the sanctioned player for their bad behavior. Maybe they invaded their smaller neighbor, or something unimaginable like that. Anyway, the other players can jack up prices or refuse to trade properties with the sanctioned player, or prevent them from collecting rent on certain properties. And maybe some players just take their money, their properties, and sit out the game. And we can't forget the banker, who has closed their services to the badly behaved player. No new houses or mansions, no loans, the bank is closed. You can imagine how very hard this game becomes for the sanctioned player. The goal isn't necessarily to bankrupt the player immediately, but over time it puts pressure on them. Sanctions on a country like Russia work in a similar way. It puts pressure on them to change their bad behavior. Or that is the intent.
There have been 3 objectives of the sanctions. The first was to deny the revenues for the Russian state budget. The second was to diminish the power of the army. And the third was to diminish the power of the regime of Mr. Putin himself.
This is Vladislav Vlasyuk, Ukraine's presidential commissioner for sanctions policy. He's the top sanctions expert in the country.
Well, actually, I did not believe in this third objective at any given point, but these 3 objectives, this was what was considered to be the objectives of sanctions among the sanction coalition countries.
And yet, as this pressure is stacked against Russia, it seems like the opposite is happening. Each year, it seems that Russia is passing go and collecting $200, or in this case, a booming wartime economy. So, what's going on with Russia's economy? Unsurprisingly, the Kremlin isn't telling us the truth. Putin is desperate for the world to believe that the sanctions aren't working. On paper, the Russian economy is growing, but that only tells part of the picture. In reality, the Kremlin has been pouring money into the military, including expensive bonus payments to recruit the fast-depleting soldiers, and increasing taxes while cutting spending on social projects like infrastructure. So, despite the economy looking like it is improving, that doesn't translate to people's lives improving. Consumer spending and public investment have likely dropped by 15 to 20% compared to pre-war levels. Russia has lost $150 billion in oil revenues over 3 years, and there's a shortage of workers while foreign investment has largely dried up. This year, Russia's economy contracted for the first time since the invasion began. Its economy is about 10% smaller than it would have been without the war and sanctions. That's a massive hit for any country. If a monopoly player claims they're doing great because they still own some properties, but in reality they've had to mortgage their best assets, sell their houses and hotels, and they're now spending all their remaining cash just to stay in the game for a few more turns, then would you believe them when they say they're winning? Let's break down what's actually been effective against Russia. Sanctions on any one industry are not enough. To influence Russia's behavior, there has been pressure across the board, including on the players who cooperate with Russia, such as Iran.
So if we talk about the EU, I think that the ban on the oil imports and the gas imports to European Union from Russia, that played a really crucial role in denying the revenues. If we talk about the America, I think that the financial sector, how they crack down the sanctions, the financial sector of Russia. And this is also important that a lot of the sanctions been synchronized among the sanction coalition countries. It looks like sanctions work and we just need more sanctions. Certainly some sanctions could be adopted sooner if we compare the current status of Russian economy to the economy before the full-scale invasion. Come on, people.
But monopoly, as we all know, is a long game, and many of us hope to play a trump card, pun intended, and end the war sooner rather than later. The issue is that the Trump administration hasn't imposed any new sanctions on Russia in 5 months, unlike Europe. Instead, Washington has only extended Biden-era sanctions, like those on banks and Russian energy. Without new sanctions, it is easier for Russia to skirt around the current ones, for example, by opening new dummy companies in Asia that are not subject to sanctions, to sell banned components to Russia. Even so, skirting sanctions is expensive and inconvenient for Russia. Though it is still in the game, every move becomes harder and harder. Each dollar spent working around sanctions is a dollar not spent on killing Ukrainians. Sanctions haven't knocked Russia off the board entirely, but they fundamentally changed the rules of play. What used to be easy for Russia is now difficult and expensive. And that's exactly the point. But what do you think? Do you believe sanctions will be strengthened going forward, or is it just all talk, no bite? Let us know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. And if you want to help us make more explainers like this, join the Kyiv independent community for as little as $5 a month.